prophets, I pray in nation South Africa, where I see protests, I pray in Jesus' name.
All right, these are live pictures in the Braamfontain CBD in Zinga, where students are now marching in front of the pathology van that is taking the deceased to the mortuary at this stage. We're going to stand right here at the moment and let them go through us at the moment, and you'll see the visuals that are here, and that I'm not sure what I would say the numbers are at this point, but them marching before the pathology van. The 31-year-old man, of course, who was caught in the scuffle between police as well as students a bit earlier on, and they feel that it would only be decent, dignified, if they could do so, while the circumstances are being investigated at this point in terms of what exactly had transpired. Let's just move towards this direction now. We'll come back and Zinga on this particular point. We'll show you right here on the top as we move a bit closer to where you have the Johannesburg City offices, where students have now moved towards. I'll just check. We're on the corner now of Bickard Street. On the corner of Bickard at the moment, where students have now moved ahead of that pathology van. You forgive me a bit then, Zinga, while investigations are taking place at this particular point, but the circumstances that led to the exact cause of what we do know, of course, he was shot. And if police were responsible for that, either through live ammunition or rubber bullets, this is information that, of course, they would want quite clear as soon as possible. So I'll try and see if we can't bring in some of Nzinga again. Live pictures. Let me see if I can't bring in the SG. SG, yes. Quite important, I see, as students. Quite important as students for you to show this kind of respect, in that you are moving with the pathology van for who you say is someone who was caught in the crossfire while you were demanding legitimate or putting your legitimate concerns across. It was important for you as students to do this.
Yes, it was very important for us to pay our last tribute to a black soul. We understand he was not part of the strike. He was not part of the strike. It's a casualty that happened. But as a black culture, as our culture, as Africans, we thought it's very much important to pay our last tribute, to try and show respect to the life of Africans. So we understand that students were protesting. This reckless police came firing shots. But we appreciate that the students, they never took a black life for granted. They showed respect. They moved with the cop as they were taking him to the mortuary.
But isn't it unfortunate? This is not the first time that you are here as students. Every time you want to raise your concerns, it seems you are met with some form of violence. And that's, I guess, is what you're saying was demonstrated here as well this morning. I saw police push back just a little bit earlier on today.
No, I think the government also, with the Department of Higher Education, they don't pay any respect, any. Okay.
Please continue. Let me just read the statement very shortly. Please stay with me, SG. A Wits statement on the passing of a civilian in Braamfontain today. I'm just going to read that out to you live here on television. So Wits University is deeply saddened, they say, of the passing of a 35-year-old, they say, here in Braamfontain. The university extends its condolences to the family of the deceased. The university condemns any form of violence and calls on all persons to keep calm during these difficult times. The university also outlining a lot of what it says at the moment is protest action occurring on the Braamfontain CBD earlier today. The police were managing the situation, they say. Do you believe police were managing the situation?
No, it's very wrong. It's very wrong, and they are misleading our society. Students were protesting unarmed. Students were protesting, showing placards, demanding registration because they have nothing apart from education. They were just demanding their last hope for better life, for the future. So police, instead of trying to manage the situation, they just did exactly what they did in Marikana. They just fired shots on students. And worse, because they are reckless, they were just shooting at any pedestrian walking here in Braamfontain. So the statement is very misleading. They are lying, and that's what we need to also go and correct when we go out to the society.
According to the statement as well, just to give it to you as well, it says 2 student reporters were also injured and 3 protesters were arrested and taken to the Hillbrow police station. Do you know of any arrests that were made?
No, arrest happened yesterday where one of our student command members was arrested. He was also released today. We are not aware of any arrest. All our fighters are here. We are not aware of any arrest. Maybe they just arrested people who are just walking, not these students who are protesting at Wits.
So now, what is the way forward? Now you accompany someone who was caught in I guess I won't say crossfire, because there was no firing on the part of yourselves. But what happens now going forward? Because the academic here, if there are threats then of universities being shut, what then happens to the academic here that has already been affected as a result of COVID? Yet, of course, I understand your concerns are legitimate.
Yeah. No, I think from here, we are going to also try and mobilize students and also members of the public to join hands with the Students' Command as will be marching to Parliament to demand the free education that was declared by the then president. We are also saying nothing can continue as usual without this black life being accommodated an opportunity to go and start. Otherwise, academics can start, but what will happen with the lives that is being rejected? Those students will be victims of gender-based violence. Those students will be victims of crime, drug abuse, hopelessness, depression, and also stress. They can even go and commit suicide because the government does not care of the black life in South Africa.
Thank you very much for your time, sir. I appreciate it. Now on the corner of Beckard Street, here in the Braamfontain CBD. And again, Nzinga, the pathology van driving behind these students. What these students are saying is that they want to move with it because they believe someone had lost their lives as a result of, them trying to bring their concerns. There you have it, the pathology van leaving at this point. You'll see, so obviously headed Nzinga that way towards the Hillbrow, and you'll see here students, if we could come this way just very quickly, students with their arms and their fists in the air. So a sad turn of events, Nzinga, I must say, as a result of what students say are legitimate concerns about our exclusion at universities. And they say, according to the heavy-handedness of police, this is what has now taken place. The Independent Police Investigative Directorate, again, I had indicated, says they are going to investigate this matter. And so, all right. All right, Nzinga, it seems like students will now be heading. Students will be heading right back. I've got you here, T. Turn around. Students will be moving right back to their location where we had initially started with this. So I'm going to try to move back quite fast. All right, from where we are at the moment in Nzinga, It can only indicate students are trying to form a line here to make sure that they march in order. I guess that's going to be back to where we were initially. So at this particular point, it doesn't seem like the protests themselves are going to stop. But I think of major concern at this particular point is whether the threat to shut down all universities is a threat that students will make good on. If that happens, certainly there'll be many questions about how then I guess they're going to proceed. But I guess without some of the commentary, I guess, and some of the leadership within the higher education and training sector coming to address them, I don't think, by the looks of things, I guess from where I'm standing at this point, that students are going to let up on their protest action at this stage. I've got you.
And so we come out of those visuals, get fed to us by Griselda Lewis and our team there, including the camera people. And just read you a statement from the University of the Witwatersrand that Griselda started with before we close the bulletin with one more story. Wits University is deeply saddened to learn of the passing of a 35-year-old man in the Braamfontain CBD outside the institution this morning. The university extends its condolences to the family of the deceased. The university condemns any form of violence and calls on all persons to be calm during this very difficult time. The university's current understanding of the situation is as follows. Protest action occurred in the Braamfontain CBD earlier today. SA police services were managing the situation. That's a verbatim quote from the University of the Witwatersrand. Initial reports suggest that a civilian was caught in clashes between the protesters and SAPS and regrettably lost his life. At this stage, the university does not have confirmation of the cause of his death. 2 student reporters were injured and 3 protesters were arrested and taken to Hillbrow police station. Queries directly related to this incident should be directed to the SAPS as they were on scene and managing the matter as the public order incident. We are continuing to seek further information on this matter. The university has made available health and counselling services to students and members of the community who require assistance. The university notes with deep concern the escalation of the situation, which is regrettable, and we call on all persons to remain calm during this time. The university remains committed to seeking creative, peaceful solutions to any outstanding issues in the higher education sector. That's from the senior executive team. I'm reading verbatim a statement from the University of the Witwatersrand there. Student leaders saying that that statement is problematic. There were not clashes, and saying that the university and people should not criminalize protest, which is a constitutional right. Now, earlier we spoke to Nomzamo Zondo, who's the Executive Director at Socioeconomic Rights, who witnessed today's shooting. But perhaps we'll go to that a little bit later on. Let's get some reaction from political party